Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Look what we got back. Got it back a little bit sooner than I was expecting, so that's great. Going to be checking this thing out at the end of the episode, so you don't want to miss that. But first, we're going to rebuild the Dana 44 front axle for this project. It's kind of a unique axle, so you don't want to miss that. So stick around and find out how we do it. Thanks. Well, Dad has the Dana 60 in here. He's stripping it down. Got the hubs off and everything. Somebody had actually just rebuilt the brakes. Probably trying to get it running at some point. So the brakes were all rebuilt and new, so that's good. Have a 373 gear ratio open differential. I think we're going to keep 373s in this as long as everything is good in there. There's a little bit of metal right here on the bottom where the oil was draining out, so we'll have to check all the bearings and everything in there, but everything looks good on this. It's nice to have new brakes. We were going to put new brakes in anyway, but we don't have to mess with those, so got those all cleaned up. Sorry I haven't got much footage of disassembly and everything on these axles. I got an excursion over there I'm working on. It's got some injector issues. It's been taking up a lot of my time, but thought I'd fill you in on how far we got so far. The front axle is all stripped out and we cleaned it with steam cleaner. I'll go out there and show you that. Another interesting thing before we go outside, these early axles, I think it's 74 and newer or older, they're 16 spline. They're a lot coarser spline axle, and they're harder to find center sections for. So if you want to put like a blocker in the back or something, you have to change the axles to a 35 spline, which is like 75 and up. Dana 60s have that. But thought I'd just show you, those are the coarse spline axles out in the 72 axle here. Here's all the front axle stuff. Got it all stripped down. Did a bunch of steam cleaning on it. You know, as you saw the last episode, the ball here was full of grease. Got that all cleaned out. There's the 205 transfer case. Did the same thing with it. It was all covered in greasy dirt and stuff, and then got it all pressure washed it off. There's the knuckles, spindles and stuff. Going to take these springs up and see if they can rebuild them or not, and see if we can keep from having to buy new springs. Hey guys, getting further along on our axle rebuilds for the crew cab. Got the Dana 60 all put back together. Got new brake hardware in it, or new slave cylinders. The brakes were actually new when we got it, but new bearings on the outside. The center section, everything looked good, so we didn't tear that apart. Keeping the 373s that are in this rear end, and we're to change our 44 over to 373s. Here's the 44 closed knuckle. Got it all cleaned up and stripped down, as you can see here. Currently putting the races in it for the bearings here on the knuckle and the ball here. Got the old carrier out sitting right here, and we had to get a new carrier because those are 410 gears and we're going to 373s, and the carriers are different for 373 and down and 410 and up. So since we're going to 373, we had to get a new carrier that's for the 373s, the lower gear ratios, or the higher gear ratios, lower numerically. You know, they have a different carrier because the gear thicknesses are different, the pinions are different sizes and stuff. So what a lot of Danas are, they have different carriers for different ratios. The 60s are 410 and up, and 373 and down. So I guess it's the same as these. I think I might be telling you wrong on that. I'm not quite sure, but it's something like that. We had to get a new carrier, and this is what it is. So spindles, we might have to get some new spindles. As you can see here, the bearings have spun on the spindles here, and there's a little lip right here, and it's all rough right here. So the bearings were either bearing went bad and it spun, or got stuck or something. There's a lip, actually a lip on that one. So we might be trying to find some new spindles just so we have some better area for the bearing to sit on. You get the bearing in there, it'll be loose, and the bearing might spin. New bronze bushings here for to hold up the axle shaft on the end of the knuckle. Here's the brakes, or one brake, rotor and assembly here. We have new shoes and rotors right here, and all the brake parts and bearings and stuff. So we're going to have to rebuild all the brakes, so all this is going to be new. We have new drums as well. So yeah, that's coming along pretty good so far with the axles. We're still waiting on the ring and pinion and the bearing set up for the carrier there to finish putting the center section together, as well as we're still trying to find some wiper seals. The big knuckle wiper seals seem to be out of stock everywhere. We are on a waiting list to get some in stock, so hopefully we can get those and finish putting the outers on. But those wiper sealers are the only thing we're having trouble finding at the moment. We can find the little ones, we can't find the big ones. So hopefully they get out of stock or in stock here pretty quick, and we'll finish putting the outers together. But as soon as we get the ring and pinion and gear set, we're gonna set up this gear ratios on this thing and get the gears all set up. And once we get the outers back together and everything, these axles will be going to the sandblaster and get blasted and coated, and as well as the frame. So we'll get after it. Well, we've gotten a little further along on the front axle rebuild. We ended up having to get new spindles. These were wore out right here. I could probably fix them on the lathe if we added material here and machined it down, or either that or machine that down and have a sleeve in here. But the inside here, where there's a bushing, one of these things that rides on the axle, they're kind of chewed up as well, and out here where the other bearing is kind of chewed up. So there's just enough wrong with these, we decided just to get new spindles. New brake hardware, new brakes, and rotors, so those are ready to go on. We did have some problems with the hub. I think it's this one, the bearing cup in here. It was loose and was spin and loose, so it was that one right there. It's not in there right now, but the bearing cup that goes in there, it was loose and spinning. So this hub turned out to be junk because that diameter is too big, and the bearing cup will be loose in there. So luckily we have some other axles to pull stuff off of, so we got this hub off of one of our other axles. We'll use that. Have some repair to do on this. The bolts here that hold the lockout hub on, these two probably got stripped out and they were welded. If you can see right there, probably drilled a hole and welded right there, welded these bolts in here. So haven't figured out what we're going to do here. I considered doing a helicoil, which is where you drill and tap for a larger size and you run a coil in there, and it replaces the threads. But given how close that is to that inside, I'm not sure we have enough room to do that. You can also rotate the lockout hub and drill and tap new holes. But just getting started on working on this thing, getting it ready. So we'll see what we do. I think the other hub on that axle where we got that one from, I think it might be trash as well. So out of two axles, hopefully we can make two hubs work. But only thing we're lacking on this one is these bolt holes for the lockout hub. So hey guys, we finally got our gear set here, our 373 gears, and our bearing kit, our rebuild kit that has all the the shims and bearings and everything. So we're going to get after regearing this Dana 44 front axle. Well, we got the 373 gears in the Dana 44 here. Just finished setting them up today. See if I can get this thing turned around here. Yeah. See our paint there to check the gear pattern there. But we got the 373s in here. Went together real good. We had to do a little playing with the shims on the pinion for the bearing preload on the pinion, but that was the biggest thing. We had to take the pinion in and out several times to get that right, but our other shims turned out pretty good, especially just for a front axle. But we're waiting on wiper seals and as well as the new spindles that we had to order for the outside here, and then we'll be able to finish assembling the outside. But we got the gears set up at least, so we have all the gear ratios sorted out front and rear. Once we get the rest of the stuff, we'll finish putting this axle together. We got the outers partially assembled here on the axle. Got the knuckles here on it. Here you can kind of see the closed knuckle design in this ball and socket here. There's tapered bearings on here that it pivots on instead of ball joints like a more modern axle. And there's king pins here. You bolt these together, and there's a big solid pin that goes through that tapered bearing, and there's shims under here to set the bearing preload. And got the axles in there. Same thing on this side. Here's the steering arm for the drag link. And we got the spindles in. Here's the spindles. There's that bushing I was talking about. These go on the end here, like so. Also have some of the wiper seals here. This is a felt wiper that goes on the back end of right here, bolts onto these holes right here, and that seals this ball out. And you run oil in there to lubricate your bearings and your U-joint there. That's what you're supposed to do anyway. You can see we put some grease on these bearings here because a lot of times that oil doesn't stay where it's supposed to. So it's nice to have some grease on there for those bearings, especially the top one, because the top one would get dry. But yeah, tomorrow I think we'll probably put the spindles together and the wiper seals on and finish the brakes and everything, and this axle will be reassembled, fully rebuilt. So have the 205 transfer case here, kind of inspecting stuff and seeing what we need there. So yeah, we have all the parts now. We just got those parts dropped off just a few minutes ago by UPS, and we'll get the ends of this axle finished putting together, and we'll go from there. Hey guys, a little update here on our 69 F350 we did a few episodes back. If you missed that, I have a link to this up here for this episode, where we put a 352 in this truck and got it back on the road. Well, I had a few problems with it. Since it's been cold, it's been having a hard time starting, and have to choke it a lot, and needs choke to stay running and everything. And then when it got down to the teens, it just flat quit running. And did a little diagnostic on it, and it's not getting fuel. So I'm guessing the diaphragm and the fuel pump right there, I had to put a new fuel pump in, and I'm guessing the diaphragm and the fuel pump got cold and brittle and broke when it got real cold down in the teens. So we got a new fuel pump in it, and it's running pretty good now. So yeah, it's running pretty good now. Anyway, like I said, if you missed this episode, go ahead and look back, and I'll have a link in the description below, and check it out. It's pretty cool. So we'll go back to working on that Dana 44 front axle. Hey guys, I have the new spindles here, and here's the old wore out ones. What I'm going to do now is take dimensions off of this, so if I ever need these, I have dimensions here to go off of to repair these, so I can get these bearing races here back to what they should be originally. So before we install these spindles, I'm going to go take some measurements off them so we have that on hand. So I'm not sure if I will ever need them, but it's going to make this a lot easier to repair if I have these dimensions already ready to go. So go ahead and work on that, and then we'll put these things on. Well, I got done taking the measurements here, got them all wrote down with a little diagram, so I know what I'm doing. The big thing is the big bearing where it lies right here. That's the one that is going to need a lot of work, and that one turned out to be exactly 2 inches, so that's good. Like I said, I don't know if I'd ever repair these, but these were $300 a piece, so if you need 2 of them for a truck, especially if it's like an old junker truck you're trying to get going, that's going to really up the repair cost just for these spindles, not alone, you know, the bearings and brakes if you had to work on that stuff. So if you had to rebuild one of those close knuckle axles, it would really add to the cost, and we didn't have any good ones. Of all of our axles we had here, they all had problems right here, so at least I have that option if I ever do need a cheap set of cheap spindles for something, or you know, I can repair these. So. Well, we got the front axle all assembled, other than the lockout hubs. We're still waiting on those. I think we're going to put some old ones on here for when we take the axle and get it blasted and coated and everything, because we won't want to mess up our nice new ones. So we're going to put some old ones on here for the time being, but all new brake hardware, all new bearings, and new wiper seals. They have you soak the felt in oil and gear oil before you put it together, and I think we overdid it because it got everywhere, but at least we got enough on there. You know, all new bearings and everything in here in the 373 gear ratio. All new tie rod and everything. So it turned out nice. Have it all new. So these axles are quite a bit expensive to rebuild, especially if you need things like the spindles and the wiper seals, but it's original to the truck, so we thought about putting a disc brake axle on it, but we decided brand new drum brakes, power drum brakes will be just fine for what this truck's going to be, and it'd be nice to have the original style axle on here instead of a more modern axle, so it'll be more correct. And the old closed knuckle axles are kind of an oddity now. You know, they're not very common, so some people don't really know what they are. It's kind of neat to have something like that on your truck versus something more common, especially something that's not going to be an everyday driver. So it's nice to have the original axle on it. But anyway, we got this done, and I guess we'll see what else we get into. Well, we got the crew cab back from sandblasting. Turned out great. Got it coated in weld through epoxy primer so they can do all the body work. You can see here the rust in the floor. There's a few extra spots of rust we didn't know were there. Like right here, there's a little bit underneath here. Same on the other side, but not bad. The cab mounts still look great, which is good. You know, we have the doors and the hood and the bed and everything coated as well. There is some previous repair work on this door here, so I don't know, we may not use this door. We have a couple others, but we didn't know that this thing had all these holes in it. We'll just see what the bodywork guys want to do, the body guys. Here's the rear doors. There's a little bit of rust in the corner there, a lot less on that one. Otherwise they turned out pretty good. And the bed's got some previous collision repair right there. The corrugated part of the bed is in real good shape. All these end pieces rusted out, so gonna have to work, you know, replace these. But the bed floor and the bed rails all turned out really good, which is nice. This side is pretty good shape. Another real common spot for these bump sides to rust out's down here on the lower portion of the cab down here. Rod's out right there. This piece is available, replacement piece there. Floor's in real good shape. Right here, there's a little bit of pitting on the step here. Not too bad. There's a little bit showing up right here as well. Just a little bit. Otherwise, I thought it turned out pretty good. For as far as most sandblastings go, a lot of times they show up with a lot more problems than you thought you had. But nothing we didn't already know about. There's some of that collision repair right here that came through the cab, so there's going to be some work there, but we knew that was there. There's some more of that rust right there where there's an emblem. Held moisture right there, I guess. Gonna need a floor pan on this side as well. But like I said, we already knew about all that stuff, so it's not terrible. This right here is rusted out down here. It's the same as the other side. Yeah, doors look good. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that. We rebuilt that Dana 44 and we picked up our truck from sandblasting. So next step, we're going to be taking this thing to the body shop so they can start on it. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.